Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here, and today we're going to be discussing some important parts of the new SSOU post DLC2 metagame. I want to discuss some tiering philosophy, I want to discuss what's really good in the metagame, and I want to discuss what might be the future of the metagame, depending on how it goes in the coming days. So first off, this is Metagame Monday. For those of you that are new to the channel, I try and make a video every Monday just discussing some important element of the metagame. It could be as simple as, the best fire types in the metagame, or it could be something more complex like all of the different forms of speed control, or hazard setters in the metagame, or, a specific topic like, let's talk about weather teams. And today we're going to be discussing something a bit more broad. Pokemon that are really effective and maybe even too good for the metagame as it currently is. We're going to be discussing 3 Pokemon in particular, but there's also a 4th that I want to get to. The 3 Pokemon we're going to be mainly honing in on are going to be Naganadel, Pheromosa, and Genesect, and we have what I consider to be a small sample of what these Pokemon can do in the metagame in this builder slot. Of course, there are more sets that Pheromosa and Genesect in particular could use. Naganadel really is good enough with this set to be ridiculously broken as is, in my opinion. But before we get into these Pokemon, I want to discuss tiering philosophy. So, I think that a lot of people have been disappointed with how focused specific bans have been on more offensive presences as opposed to defensive presences. And I want to say that while I think many of the bans that have been put in place have been more than justified, I also agree that if you looked at it downright, more bans have been on offensive Pokemon than defensive Pokemon. And sometimes metagame states cater to that. Sometimes more offensive Pokemon are more problematic. Defensive juggernauts are already uber, or defensive juggernauts simply come and go with the metagame, i.e. if Pokemon these defensive juggernauts don't check and counter aren't very prominent in the metagame, then they're not going to be prominent. So even if you got something that's fierce on the defensive end, like say, Melmetal, you might not need to use it a ton if Pokemon Melmetal check are that good. So then you look at Melmetal's offensive potential, and right now, Melmetal, in my opinion, very much is not broken. Despite having mammoth physical bulk and physical attack, there's not much it can really come in on safely due to how specially oriented or fighting on the physical end oriented the metagame is. As you see with things like Pheromosa, Blaziken, or Shifu, Gladian, Zapdos, all things with moves like Close Combat, which can devastate it. Moreover, on top of all of that, more often than not, when we release things in the early metagame, it tends to become more of a hyper-offensive state. And personally, I like that state. I think it's really fun, and I think preserving some extent to that state would be good. Obviously, preserving some of the most broken Pokemon might be a bit too much of an ask. There are some Pokemon that, no matter how fun they are, they make it so that every game comes down to guessing, or whoever sets their win condition up first, and that derails from the competitive nature of the game. However, we released, I believe, somewhere between 10 and 15 Pokemon, and I don't think we have to ban all 10 or all 15 Pokemon. Quite on the contrary, I think that we could preserve quite a few of them, and I really only view 3 of them as directly ban-worthy right now, with there being, a fringe area of maybe 6 or 7 total, but I don't think that we necessarily have to ban the Cinderaces, the Magearnas, the Melmetals, Landorus I, and Blaziken, and Zygarde are definitely on fringe as well. But right now, Naganadel, Pheromosa, and Genesect take the cake to me as things that, if we wish to proceed with a viable, balanced metagame with a high level of competition, I don't know if we could have them. But with that said, I also think that we shouldn't be so liberal in trying to ban other things, especially with the metagame still developing, and them maybe not being as prominent or as consistently ridiculous as these Pokemon. I think that preserving a certain level of turbulence, preserving a certain level of offensive necessitation could be a good thing moving forward, be it for the next couple weeks, be it for the next couple months, or however long it takes for Pokemon to potentially prove themselves as broken or not broken. Because the metagame is going to have shifts, be it with these bans, be it with other bans, or what it may have you. And I also want to note that this is just my opinion, not the whole council's opinion. So, for example, person A might be me, and I might be like, oh yeah, I think Naganadel, Pheromosa, and Genesect gotta go ASAP. Maybe ban them on Tuesday or Wednesday. And person B may be like, no, I don't think Naganadel's broken. Or no, I don't think Genesect's broken, let's ban these, And these are discussions that are going to be had in the metagame discussion thread on the forums, or in the council chat on Discord, which is, we're going to be obviously very transparent about how we proceed in that regard. And then, on top of that, there's also going to be a survey sent out to a handful of ladder players and tournament players. We're actually going to be reaching out to a lot of ladder players, so it's important to not just focus on tournaments, because ladder is just as important, if not more important, really hitting into the general player base, people who know the metagame well, are competent. I'd love to hit on those people and really figure out what they have to say in the metagame, and help it guide how we handle tiering SSOU moving forward. So yeah, I think overall, because you're going to notice is there's going to be a very transparent tiering process here. There might be an initial wave, 2 or 3 bans. maybe 3 or 4 bans. I'm not quite sure, honestly. This is, again, just my opinion. I have yet to consult fully with other council members, so I won't make this abundantly clear. I'm just representing how I feel, not how other people feel. But, yeah, no, this is really going to be how we know how to proceed. So let's get into what I think might be broken in the SSOU metagame. First and foremost, Naganadel is absolutely ridiculous. If you don't have a Heatran, or maybe especially if it's Tyranitar, then you're going to have a bad time against this. We've seen some makeshift checks like Blissey with Thunder Wave and Teleport, or, which by the way, it comes on a Nasty Plot, and then it has to take a +4 Nasty Plot. It's +4 Draco after that, and it's just not good. And obviously, Naganadel is going to be quicker than it, despite being paralyzed, because paralysis is only half speed. And, well, yeah, 375 is much, much quicker than Blissey, even at -2. So, yeah, on top of that, you've seen some other makeshift chefs like Assault Metal or Akaberry Magirna. That can see some usage, don't get me wrong, but it is really fringe at best. You got to go well out of your way to do that. There's also some revenge killers, like, for example, Extreme Speed Genesect, or a Choice Scarf Dragapult, which we've been seeing here and there in the ladder, and so on and so forth. However, you got to be really careful, and Naganadel still being more often than not claiming a kill if it plays itself well and positions itself nicely against these Pokemon. Especially with Magirna wanting to run other sets and Melmetal not just seeing much usage at all right now. I think it's worth noting that, of course, the metagame is going to come in different trends, different shapes, and different forms, and we're going to see it shift many times before it comes to a settling point. However, Naganadel is not really something that I view as being in the picture when it gets to that settling point. Not even close. If I have to use Heatran or Blissey or Tyranitar on every single team in the metagame like this that forces so many other things already due to oppressive offensive presences, then there's no way we're going to get it done. Every team's going to be inconsistent, and I view Naganadel as what might be the most restricting and potent Pokemon in the metagame. And while unfortunately it does not have Z moves like last generation, I think Life Orb is arguably just as good in some senses in that it gets the sheer firepower behind its Fire Blast and Sludge Wave, and it also makes Draco Meteor an even bigger nuke, so dropping a Draco is just more convenient than ever before. Moreover, Beast Boost allows for it to snowball, so if you lack priority, like for example, a Choice Banded Genesect, or say a strong Grassy Glider if you manage to get some chip on Naganadel, such as Rillaboom, you're going to have a bad time. You're absolutely going to have a bad time, because it gets +1 speed, with +2 special attack, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I can't Revenge Kill it, and I can't check it defensively, so I just lose. Unless it just slowly dies Life Orb, or it misses a Draco Meteor or Fire Blast, and when those are the options for counterplay, odds are you're better off just, well, banning the Pokemon, because it's going to be ridiculous. And yeah, I think Naganadel is probably the most broken Pokemon in the metagame because of that. It's just my opinion, though. There are definitely other valid opinions. I've heard people say, oh, I think Zygarde, or Genesect, or Pheromosa, or Blaziken, or even Landorus I are more broken, and I completely and wholeheartedly understand that opinion, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong or right. The metagame's too hectic for there to be definitive stances right now, and my personal opinion, again, just me, not the whole council, not anyone, just me, is that Naganadel is probably the most broken Pokemon right now, and I don't think it's going to last very long, unfortunately. But that's just how I'll be, proceeding out, so I'll be saying, again, you guys totally feel differently. Next up, we have Baromosa. Baromosa, in my opinion, has 2 sets that's been using really well. I don't like the move order on this, I just copy-pasted it from a different team. Rapid Spin, U-turn, U-turn last, perfect. Okay, anyway, so there's the heavy-duty boots, 4 attacks, kind of like 3 attack spin, but spins an attack set. This is also a snowball potential in that it gets +1 speed, but worst case scenario, let's say you get a kill on turn 3, and then it's turn 4, and they go to the, they're like checker, counter, fairy type, whatever it might be. U-turn at +1 is still gonna dent things. And then so U-turn lets you outrun revenge killers and dent things, which is really cool in my opinion. So I love that, but also Ice Beam is great coverage for Landorus T, Tank Guard Jump, and some other Pokemon as well. Close Combat plus U-turn is just so strong off the 137 base attack, and Heavy Duty Boost means it can come in and out a ton, despite being very fragile, and I agree, it is ridiculously frail. I mean, you see it literally has 99 special defense, which I think says a lot. Even if it has 71 base HP, which is much better than its defensive, relatively speaking, that's still not very high. It's actually, in fact, quite low. So Pheromosa, yeah, it's frail, it's a bit of a glass cannon, but this set alone, it just is so good at controlling the tempo and almost oppressing the opposing team to where it has to, run a specific stop this, a really bulky fairy type with leftovers, or, a ton of priority and offensive pressure to the point that it's going to get out of hand really quickly if you don't have those things. On top of that, I also believe that there are some other sets to make it really good. For example, more specialty based sets, or even the physically based, fully physical choice band set, which is also getting to. And Close Combat, Poison Jab, Triple Axle, U-Turn is the set for that in particular. I've yet to try it out that much, only played it for a couple games, but it hits so hard, guys. And of course, on both these, you could also run plus attack natures if you want to snowball the attack, but I prefer snowballing speed and also outrunning some other things in that range, especially with the abundance of fast Pokemon and opposing Pheromosa in that range. But yeah, Genesect to Triple Axle, you could also use Drill Run over that, or over Poison Jab if you so wish. It hits Talk Specs and other things as well, but it just hits like a complete truck. It's way too fast. It's kind of accessible in the sense that it takes advantage of U-Turn and Volt Switch a ton, which are just staples of this metagame when you see things like Genesect, Tapu Koko, Landorus T, etc. so often. And it's just a complete wrecking ball. I think that on paper it's far less broken than Naganadel, but I still think it's broken. Like, I still think it's undoubtedly broken, especially when we haven't even gotten into mixed sets, or specially based mixed sets for that matter, with like, Close Combat plus U-Turn plus, Focus Blast or Bug Buzz. I know I said Fizzle Stab, Ice Beam, Quiver Dance potentially even. You can run U-Turn plus Focus Blast or Close Combat with, Bug Buzz in the mix, Quiver Dance, Ice Beam, and honestly, mixed is hard switching. You throw Drill Run in the mix for Talk Specs or Poison Jab in the mix for Fairy Types and you forget about it. And yeah, I think that you guys might notice one little trend off this, and that is that there's a bit of 4 move slot syndrome. But the thing is that you don't know what moves your opponent has on their Pheromosa when you're facing it. So you've got to, it's basically promoting guesswork, which A, is ridiculous. And B, if you guess wrong, you're losing a Pokemon. It's that punishing. It's that strong. It's that devastating to where for a Pokemon that's going to get in 4 or 5 times just due to sheer momentum and game flow, it's not enough counterplay in the metagame, no matter how many Fairy types you see. And in my eyes, that's what makes Pheromosa just a bit over the top. And I think it's probably the least convincing of these 3 items being broken in my eyes, but I still think it's really bad. It's really restrictive to the metagame, and I don't love its presence right now. Next up, we have Genesect. Genesect, I've been using 2 sets mainly, physically based Scarf and Choice Band. However, Choice Specs and also Shift Gear sets are just laughably good. You can pretty much run anything on this Pokemon, and it's going to be great, but make sure to make it shiny because it buffs, Choice Band Extreme Speed. You'd rather not have it not shiny, because if it's not shiny, then it's not going to be buffing that, and they already know, oh, I can just check that off my list. At least there's one less thing to prepare for, but even then, it's just so overbearing. Excuse me. So yeah, it has Iron Head and U-Turn and Extreme Speed and Blaziken on the physical side, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Bug Buzz. I'm pretty sure people have been running Dust Drive, Techno Blast as well. We go down to like Giga Drain or Energy Ball, Dark Pulse. I don't really see you run Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon on a spec set, or you could run Steel Beam as well. Gunk Shot, if for some reason Iron Head's not enough for you for fairies, well, please don't do that. And the list goes on and on and on. I've seen Shift Gear 3 attacks, I've seen Choice Band, I've seen Choice Specs, I've seen Life Orb 4 attacks, I've seen Heavy Duty Boots 4 attacks, I've seen Choice Scarf Physical, I've seen Choice Specs Special, both being mixed overall, of course. I've seen Sub 3 attacks, I've seen Explosion on Band and Scarf, which is funny. All these sets, and they're all just as good as each other, arguably, or at least within the same realm of being really good. It has if you were to go from viability rankings, when S is the best Pokemon, A is the next best Pokemon, and B is the okay, pretty good Pokemon. It has 4 or 5 sets that would all qualify for S rank, and the sheer versatility of it not necessarily makes it broken itself, but then you figure out, okay, I have to prepare for all these sets, and then I have to figure out which set it is based off team preview before it's too late and it already gets killed in Pokemon. That's what makes it broken in my eyes. So, not every Pokemon that's versatile is broken. For example, Tyranitar is one of the most versatile Pokemon in the game potentially, but you can't really make use of that versatility to the same extent that someone like Genesect can. Genesect's versatility forces you to make guesses and make, maybe educated guesses, but still, it forces you to potentially fodder off a Pokemon or put yourself in a compromised position against other Pokemon. It basically forces a certain level of breaking, a certain level of power creep that we aren't really equipped for defensively. Moreover, in my eyes, that probably makes Genesect a bit too overbearing for a metagame. And it's a shame because Genesect is one of my favorite Pokemon to use, but there's still so many cool Pokemon. I really enjoy using Landorus Eye, Tapu Koko, Kartana is pretty solid right now. A lot of these I'm really trying to get a hold of. Zygarde, although Zygarde's pretty controversial itself. And yeah, the list goes on and on and on. I've really also enjoyed using what's-its-face. Garchomp's obviously amazing. Kyurem-Black is definitely honestly, probably Kyurem-Black over Blaziken in this list. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And I've been using a sub. We're gonna get to the rest of Genesect in a second. I've been using a sub Dragon Dance set actually. Icicle Spear, Fusion Bolt with Tapu Koko. You might have seen it in live. That's probably gonna be up by now. It might not be up by now. 56, yeah. Number 196. 200, yeah, that's what it is. And then you run 252 plus. And it's just only Magearna and Melmetal would really check this. It hits so hard. Boots enable it so much. Dragon Dance is so great. You could definitely run Dragon Claw or Outrage over Substitute, or even Roost over Substitute. Works as well. I personally like this because it sets up on Toxpack, sets up on like trying to go for Protect against leftovers, sets up on Blissey after 101 HP substitutes. Sets up on non-Moonblast Temple Finny, which there are a few of them running out there, believe it or not. Even lives a Moonblast after from 60%, 65% probably. It's really bulky. It's really strong. I mean, you pair it with Screens or pair it with Tran, and it's just gonna find a way to absolutely demolish and invalidate so much stuff. So I think Kyurem-Black's probably more broken than Blaziken in my eyes. But Blaziken's gonna be like number 5, if that makes sense. Now personally, I'm really only sold on banning the first 3 right now. But I think Kyurem-Black would be like number 4. Like, okay, there's very few checks and counters to it. It can be revenge killed, but it's so bulky and it's so easy to set up, and it's so strong once it's set up that it might just be too much, regardless of the fact that okay, there's 1 or 2 counters and it's revenge killable, because you can definitely find a way through those things in long-term games. I think that says a lot. And then Blaziken, I mean, it could just kind of snowball out of control with Speed Boost and Sword Dance, but it definitely also has a very short lifespan due to having, close combat lowering defenses, flavorlets with recoil, plus Life Orb being in most sets. Also the fact that it's just not very fragile, so you gotta be careful with Blaziken. That's why I'm a bit more on the fence about it. It's, it doesn't have much of a defined role when compared to these Pokemon, if you will. But I definitely believe that these 5 are some of the most impressive Pokemon metagame. And really curious what you guys have to think about them. Do you think they should be banned? Do you think they should remain in the metagame? And why would that be the case? Thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I really do love interacting with you guys. The comments and the likes that really reinforce that what I'm doing, it helps you guys. I love knowing that I'm helping out. Also, let me know your thoughts on this aspect ratio. I've been trying to, mess with the dimensions a little bit. I've zoomed in a little bit. Everything looks a little bigger, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really good at the whole tech-savvy stuff, so I definitely would love any feedback in the comments. And finally, if you guys would like to interact with me more or know what's going on with the channel, updates, or just live, talk with me, check out my Twitter. The link will be below. Check out my Discord. The link will be below. And we've got like 800 people in there. It's a great community. It's actually not super hectic. We've been managing it pretty nicely, so it's been great. And thank you so much to also my channel contributors, Slaney and Swadloon. Recently have been doing a ton of thumbnails and other stuff. And really appreciate both of them. And thanks to everyone who watched these videos. Alright guys, have a great day. Peace out. Bye guys.